Hello friends, now today we are going to see the next topic of unit 3 of M2, that is reduction formula. Okay, so let us start with the definition of reduction formula. So what is the reduction formula? It gives you the correct connection between two integrals. The definition of reduction formula is an algebraic relation connecting two integrals is called as reduction formula. Okay, now why we need a reduction formula? For example, if you want to find out integration of sine x, it is very easy. If you want to find out integration of sine square x, what you will do? We can write it as 1 minus cos x upon 2 and then we can solve that. Okay, but if you want to find out integration of sine cube x, it will be a bit difficult. If you want to find out integration of sine raised to 4, it will be more complicated. So as the power of sine will goes on increasing, the thing will goes difficult to us. Okay, so integration formula will give you what? It will give you the relation between the higher power with the lower power integral. Okay, so we are going to see some standard result which will be very helpful while solving the problems. So let us start with the first formula where we are going to have I of n is equal to integral 0 to pi by 2 sine raised to nx dx. So here I am writing just the formulas. Okay, so the formulas are very important. So how to remember this formula, sine raised to n x, when we are having the limit at 0 to pi by 2. So we are calling this integration as I of n, and what you have to remember is you have to just remember the first term. So if the power is n, your first term is n minus 1 upon n, and then keep on decreasing by 2 2 2. So it will give you n minus 3, n minus 5, n minus 7, n minus 9 and so on. Okay, depending on whether your n is even or odd, you are going to get the last term. Okay, but the thing is, whenever you are going to have n as even, you are going to take the last term as pi by 2. That is very important. Whenever the n is even value, your last term will be pi by 2, and whenever your n is odd, your last term will be 1. So this is a very important thing. You have to remember the first term and the last term. So whenever you are having even, last term will be always pi by 2, and whenever your n is odd, your last term will be 1, and the first term is what? In both the cases, the first term is n minus 1 upon n. Fine. So this is a very important formula that you are supposed to remember. Then let's move to the next formula. The next formula is for integral 0 to pi by 2 cos raised to nx. Okay, so the formula for cos raised to nx and formula for the sine raised to nx is exactly same. Okay, no change at all. So whenever n is even, you are going to have the last term as pi by 2, and whenever n is odd, again the last term will be 1, and the first term for both the things will be n minus 1 upon n. Okay, now the third formula that we are going to see is for integral 0 to pi. So please note the integration limit. It is 0 to pi now. So if you are having 0 to pi, you are going to have that formula as 2 times 0 to pi by 2 sine raised to nx dx for all integer values of n. Okay, so we are going to take that n as integer. Now this diagram will give you the idea. So whenever we are having sine x, the graph of sine x in integral 0 to pi will be look like this. Okay, and at a1 and a2, when you add it, you are going to get the total area, that is from 0 to pi by 2 and then from pi by 2 to pi. Okay, so whether that n is even or odd, that doesn't matter. Your graph of sine will be always on the positive side. Okay, so that's why this formula will work for all the values of n, and it will be 2 times. Now why 2 times? Because if you consider 0 to pi by 2 and if you double it, you're going to get the value for the 0 to pi. Okay, so that is because of this diagram. Now if you look at the fourth formula, it is for cos. Now integration is from 0 to pi, so it is equal to 2 times 0 to pi by 2 if your n is even, and it is equal to 0 if n is odd. Now why it's happened? Why it is 2 times if n is even and 0 if n is odd? So if you look at the graph of cos x in the 0 to pi limit, you are going to have the graph of cos x will look like this. Okay, when n is odd, when the power is odd. Okay, so if you observe, the half part of the function is above the x-axis and half part of the function is below the x-axis. Okay, so obviously the above part will be treated as positive and then below part will be treated as negative. तो ऊपर वाला जो पार्ट है वो इसको अगर हम x कंसिडर करते हैं तो नीचे वाला पार्ट क्या है आपका -x है. Okay, so that the total value become 0, and that's why whenever the power of cos is odd, it will give you 0. Similarly, अगर cos की power even आती है, if the power of cos is even, okay, in that case it will not go below x-axis because the power is even. In both the cases it will be above x-axis. Okay, and if it is plus, this will be again, sorry, this will should be plus over there, so that plus plus will get added and you are going to get 2 times. Okay, fine. Now let's move to the next part. Suppose we are having the limits from 0 to 2 pi of sine raised to nx. So if you look at the graph of sine in 0 to 2 pi, it will look like this if the power of sine is odd. So half part is above the x-axis and half part is below the x-axis. The above part it will be plus plus and below part is minus minus. Now why 2 plus are there? Because we are dividing the thing in 4 parts, in 0 to pi by 2, then pi by 2 to pi, then pi to 3 pi by 2 and 2 pi, like that. Okay, so there will be 4 part for 0 to pi by 2, and that's why if you look at the diagram, you are going to get, suppose we are going to treat this area as x, so we are going to have x plus x, 2x are there, and there will below, if you count, it will give you minus 2x. So plus 2x minus 2x will give you 0, and that's why we are going to have the thing will be 0 if n is odd. But if n is even, in that case what will happen? The whole part will be above the x-axis and it will give you plus 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 4 times, and that's why it will become 4 times 0 to pi by 2. Fine, I hope you are getting the idea. Now the same thing if you consider for 0 to 2 pi for cos raised to nx. Okay, what will happen? If you look at the graph of cos in 0 to 2 pi, it will look like this. So again 2 plus 2 minus, so it will give you 2x minus 2x will give you 0. So whenever the power is odd, it will give you 0, and whenever the power is even, whole part will be above x-axis and it will give you plus 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 plus. So 4 plus will be there and you are going to get the answer as 4 times 0 to pi by 2 cos raised to nx dx. So all these 6 formulas are very important. The whole reduction formula problems will be based on this. Okay, please try to remember all this thing. Then we are going to see the next formula as integral 0 to pi by 2 sine raised to m cos raised to n. Okay, so how to remember this formula? See, whatever is the power of sine, you have to note it down, and whatever is the power of cos, you have to note down that m and n are here. Then you have to start with m minus 1 in the first part, n minus 1 in the second part, and keep on decreasing by 2 2 2 2. Okay, that is m minus 1. Next term will be m minus 3, then m minus 5, and so on. Okay, either you will have 2 or 1. Okay, so either way, if you have 2 or 1, you have to stop there. Okay, similarly for n minus 1, n minus 3, n minus 5, and whenever you are going to have 2 or 1, you are supposed to stop. Now when we are going to have 2 or 1, so it will be depend on whether your m and n are even or odd. Okay, and in the denominator, what you are going to do, you are going to add that m and n, and then again keep on decreasing by 2 to m plus n minus 2, m plus n minus 4, and so on. And depending on your m and n, whether they are even or odd, your last term will be decided. Either it will be 2 or 1. Okay, and the important thing is here we are going to multiply this whole thing by p. Okay, now this p is again depending on m and n. So if m and n both are even, then p will be pi by 2. And if either of them is odd, that is in any case m is odd or n is odd or both are odd, in that case it will be 1. So you are supposed to remember this. Okay, so p is very important. Now again 2 cases will be there for IMN, if the limit is 0 to pi or 0 to 2 pi. So if we have 0 to pi, we know that for a 0 to pi, sine function will be always on the above part of x-axis and cos will be half ऊपर half नीचे. Okay, so for sine there is no problem, but for cos there is a problem in 0 to pi. Okay, so please do remember this. In 0 to pi sine को कुछ problem नहीं है. Okay, but cos को problem है because cos का आधा part ऊपर है, आधा part नीचे है. Okay, so that this will become 2 times 0 to pi by 2 sin raised to m cos raised to n if your n should be even. Because अगर n even होगा तो ही दोनों पार्ट ऊपर आएंगे cos के and it will get added. But m को कुछ प्रॉब्लम नहीं है because m is a power of sine and sine को 0 to pi में कुछ प्रॉब्लम है नहीं. Okay, so this is equal to 2 times if n is even and m is odd. But अगर n even हो, अगर n आपका odd हो गया, if n is odd, then you are going to get the answer as 0. Why it is 0? Because अगर आपका n odd हो गया तो cos का आधा पार्ट ऊपर रहेगा और आधा पार्ट नीचे रहेगा and it will give you the answer as 0. Okay. Now similarly, the last formula is 0 to 2 pi sin raised to m cos raised to n. This is equal to 4 times. Now we know that हमें मालूम है कि sin and cosine function को 0 to 2 pi में दोनों को प्रॉब्लम है because आधा ग्राफ ऊपर आता है, आधा ग्राफ नीचे आता है. Okay, so that it will be 4 times 0 to pi by 2 sin raised to m cos raised to n if both of m and n are even. If either of them is odd, that means अगर m odd हो गया या n odd हो गया या दोनों odd हो गए, then the answer will be 0. Okay, so these are the formulas that we are going to need while solving the problems of reduction formula. Okay, now these are some basic formulas that we are going to need while solving the problems. So I hope all of you know by part rule. So it is integral u v dx is equal to u integral dx, u integral v dx minus integral of du by dx minus integral of v dx dx. Okay, and while choosing that u and v, you are supposed to follow Layet rule or Eilert rule. Okay, the next formula is 0 to a f of x dx. It can be also written as integral 0 to a f of a minus x dx.